Welcome to Season 3 of the Knack 4 Business Podcast. Over 390 episodes strong, we're here to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit with fresh insights, networking gems, and creative strategies that elevate your game.
Now, from an audience perspective, are you struggling to get your team to take cybersecurity seriously and actually remember what they learned? And that's exactly what Craig will be diving into here today. He'll share why fear-based training doesn't work, how to build lasting cyber habits through positive reinforcement, and what every small business owner needs to know to turn their team into a strong line of defense. Our guest today is Craig Taylor from CyberHoot. Craig is the CEO and co-founder of CyberHoot, a cybersecurity training platform that takes a refreshing approach, focusing on positive reinforcement to create confident, cyber-aware employees. He has over 30 years of experience in the field and a CISSP designation earned back in 2001. Craig blends deep technical knowledge with a background in psychology to help people not just learn, but actually remember and apply critical cyber habits. He also leads a team of virtual CISOs who supports more than 40 organizations around the world. Outside of work, Craig is a dedicated Rotarian, a Toastmaster, and a passionate cancer fundraiser, raising over $150,000 for research over the past decade. Craig, absolute pleasure having you here today, sir. Welcome. Do you have a favorite quote?
I guess we could start with my favorite quote. B.F. Skinner 80 years ago wrote that behavior rewarded is behavior repeated. And that's been lost on the cybersecurity industry for 30 years now. I'm hoping we can fix that.
I think you have another one, though.
We could also add in punishment may make people comply, just like children comply when you punish them, right? At the moment, but only positive reinforcement makes them care. And that's the same for dog training. And it's the same for employees. Our business tagline is reward good habits and build cyber resilience.
I like that one. Having been in the corporate space and going through cyber training, click here. The only reason I never wanted to click on the oddball email going, well, let's open this one just for giggles, was because then all of a sudden, yeah, it just killed your computer. And I actually preferred my computer working. Why did you decide to create a platform like CyberHoot instead of following the traditional models which induce fear?
Well, I wish I could say that we started that way from the beginning. We didn't. We started the traditional way with awareness training videos, which everyone does pretty much passively these days. Then we started on phish testing, which was the second module we were adding to our platform. We tried to send better fake email phishing tests, just like everyone else did. It was so difficult, time consuming, and fraught with problems and a lack of realism. We sat back for a moment, and I think there was a brainstorm idea where we thought there's got to be a better way. So we pivoted towards this interactive educational approach. And over the course of 3 to 6 months, we started to realize we were onto something really powerful here. We're teaching people how to fish, feeding them for a lifetime. Instead of feeding them a fish today, feeding them a fish tomorrow, feeding them a fish next week, hoping that they won't click. And then the results started rolling in. We had MSPs and IT departments tell us, Craig, we used to get emails every day. Is this a fish? Is that a fish? I don't want to make a mistake. I'm nervous about clicking. And what do I do? And then they adopted our Hoot Fish, our positive reinforcement, the thing that we claim teaches people how to fish. And those IT departments turned around and said, we don't get those emails anymore. We get people sending us a screenshot of a really good fish once in a blue moon, but the rest of the time they're just doing their jobs and off they go. So we knew it was working anecdotally. Most recently, we've got a set of researchers at universities in the US doing a study to prove it empirically. But there was another side effect. We learned that the people doing these exercises actually enjoyed them. We actually let our clients and our employees rate our assignments, every phishing assignment, every video assignment. And I think weekly we get a report. The last few weeks, we've been sitting at 80+% people giving us a thumbs up on the phishing exercises, the very things that the rest of the world in fake emails say no one likes, everyone hates. It actually damages morale when you get it too difficult and people click unnecessarily. We have to do this because it's a necessary evil. Well, actually, no, you don't. There's a positive, better way to do it.
You have found a way to gamify it. Tell us about that.
Gamification is really important, right? If you can gamify something, then you're secretly teaching them skills without them knowing. And that's kind of how I exercise, right? When I play hockey, I exercise in the background. In the foreground, I'm having fun with my friends, passing the puck around, doing whatever I do. And at the end of the skate, I've had a great sweat and I'm in better physical fitness. I worked out for an hour, hour and 15 minutes, depending. In Canada, it's a 50-minute sheet. Here in the US, we've got a couple of excellent morning sheets from 6 to 7:15, 7:30 when people peter out. So I can get an hour and a half skate in, but you don't realize you're exercising while you're doing it. So if we can gamify the cybersecurity learning exercise, going through a timed assignment of a Hootfish challenge, and people are picking and choosing and trying to beat their colleague at how fast they can identify the phishing indicators in a particular email, and then submitting for scoring, that's gamification at its finest. I've sat at a desk with, at a conference, and 2 or 3 colleagues have come up and they've gone through phishing Hootfish after Hootfish to best their own time, but also to beat their colleague. All the while they're practicing and learning how to identify phishing attacks without realizing it. It's the game of it, right? It's amazing. There's other techniques that we throw in there, rewards, right? You want to reward good behaviors, not punish just the bad behaviors. So we reward with certificates of completion. We reward with continuing education credits. Most industries of professions have 10 hours a year that you have to do continuing education. We can give you 15 minutes per exercise and 16 exercises a year. Lastly, we will give you an avatar, and that avatar grows in a gamified way. As you complete assignments, you become more and more robust in your OWL avatar. And we know people pay attention to that because we get support calls. Why is my colleague ahead of me? We look into it and we say, well, you didn't do your assignments on time. You got a passing score, but not a perfect score like your colleague did. So people pay attention to those things, and it makes it more fun and entertaining.
A quick clarification question. When you say cybersecurity, now I'm thinking email, right? Because that's the typical pattern of behavior. Is it just emails coming into your inbox, or is there more areas? Like if I'm the technician working on the router, or I'm traveling and I decide not to turn on my VPN and open up my business laptop, do you include spaces like that, or is it just in the communications?
So it's a well-balanced program where we pair video trainings that teach you on some of those types of topics, right? Joining Wi-Fi securely and what mistakes to watch out for. Adoption of password hygiene tools like a password manager, multi-factor, or passkeys. We have videos that go through those particulars and explain the state of basic cyber literacy. But the Hootfish is where we really turn it into a game where we can challenge people to do better, to try a second time, to compete with one another. We reward for the videos and the Hootfishes together. But the one question you were asking that I want to make sure I'm very clear on, when we send our phishing test to an end user, it's not an email that arrives in the inbox where you can click on it and fail the test if you open a fake website or something like that. We actually tell the end user, Bernie, here's your phishing test. It's an unusual format of phishing test. We give the instructions in the email, and then on the landing page of the website where you go to do your assignments, whether it's watch a video or complete a Hootfish, on that page we say, this is not your average phishing test. We're going to present you with an email that has some indicators of a phish and some indicators that are safe for 7 parts of an email. The sender, the subject, the greeting, spelling, punctuation, and grammar, links and attachments, urgency, and emotionality. Think of them as puzzle pieces. And when you're done this exercise, we're going to have a crystal clear, completed puzzle for you that shows you exactly what phishing is. If you apply that rubric to your inbox, you will be confident, efficient, and secure. No longer are the days where you sweat out an email for 2 to 3 minutes only to forward it to IT saying, is this a phish or should I take the action? You now know how to tell if it's legitimate or not. And in certain cases, it might be completely legitimate looking, but there's something off about it. We teach you through videos and conversation that you need to call that person who never sends you an invoice, who sent you an invoice today. Ask them, has your email been compromised? Are you supposed to be emailing me this invoice?
You send if you receive a bogus email or questionable email, which you think is bogus. Would you find another form of communication to reach out to the sender, not the one that you received, in case their whole account?
You're right on the money there. Bernie, you are a seasoned warrior of cybersecurity. For many listeners, there are occasions where a hacker has actually broken into one of your contacts' email account. And so there's no hallmark of it being a phishing attack because the sending domain matches who's sending it to you. The email and the conversational tone is exactly how your colleague or friend might send you an email. The only thing that's off is they're asking you to do something unusual, like open an invoice, pay an invoice, visit a website, and it is out of the norm for your communications with that person. In those cases, you have to know that there is something off here, and before you take any action, the best way to do this is to text them on a known good number in your phone or give them a call and just say, hey, did you do this? Or even a Slack message if you're on some kind of instant messaging. You can't email them back the same message because it'll go to perhaps the hacker in that inbox who'll say, yes, of course it's me. What are you waiting for? Pay this invoice. They might be in there. So yes, we teach all of those different mechanisms to safeguard yourself. Absolutely.
What are some fear-based motivators training that the fear school uses?
Well, that's what most of the industry is using today. They're getting better at crafting those messages that go to your inbox. You're working on your day. You've got 200 emails out of 300 read. You get to the 201st, and it says, click here to change your password on our 365 mailbox because it's expired. And this is your IT department. It looks like your IT department. This isn't unusual because they've asked you to do that maybe once or twice in the past. So you look at it, you click, and all of a sudden it says, you've been phished. And you're like, oh no, now I got a 30-minute video to watch and I failed the phishing test. It's the second time. I only get 3 strikes. I could be terminated, or I have to meet with my manager for 20 minutes on why I clicked. This is the last thing I need, like a hole in the head. It's a punishment-based approach to reducing bad behavior. The best analogy I can give you, Wayne, is teaching a dog not to bark by putting a shock collar on him. Every time he barks, he gets a shock. Will the dog stop barking when the shock collar is on and fully charged? Possibly. But if the person comes to the door, the dog doesn't care. He's going to bark anyways. If the collar's uncharged and it's on, he's going to realize. But if you do a treat-based approach by training him with treats, hey, every 15th time you don't bark at the door knocking, I'm going to give you a little cookie treat here. The dog's going to learn and internalize that behavior. A child that's acting up at a party and running around in circles like crazy, if you shout at them to stop that behavior, it'll stop for just a short period of time. But if you reward them for sitting down and playing cards with another friend or doing something more constructive with their time, and you say, you know what? If you're good today and you behave and you do these other behaviors I want to see, we'll go for an ice cream cone afterwards. That kid's going to be an angel. I want ice cream. I'm going to get strawberry. I'm going to get chocolate. And that's positive rewards that turn into internalization of these behaviors. So why, if we know these things in child rearing and dog training, why don't we do that more in cyber literacy training? I can't answer that question. All I know is cyber literacy and cybersecurity has been around for 30 years. It's a young emerging profession. It's not like law or medicine or plumbing, electricity. All these things have been around for 100 years. They know how to do that training well and how to work their industries. Cybersecurity just needs a course correction towards psychological theory that has been proven for 80 years now. Make sense?
Yes. I'm going to ask a question just to show incredibly naive I am. Where's Hoot from and where's the owl from?
Oh, well, you and I were born and raised in Canada. Do you remember Smokey the Bear and Give a Hoot, Don't Pollute? Yeah, right. So for all my life, I've heard about, socially consciousness with owls and caring about things. And we wanted people to care about cybersecurity. But we also feel, and I think there's a lot of literature out there that says owls are intelligent creatures. They are sometimes considered wise, the wise owl sage. And so we thought, if we can impart some basic cyber literacy skills, what would be a good avatar to communicate that? And we settled on the owl. Then we found the CyberHoot, was a website that was available 10 or 11 years ago when there were very few two-word domains left. And we thought, this is it. We've got the knowledge, we've got the caring, we've got the intelligence, and we've got a memorable avatar. So that's how we decided on that. And I think we did well. I'm not sure what you guys think. You like it?
Oh, yeah. Good. Wayne's nodding vigorously, yes. The whole thing, the reason you're doing this preventative medicine isn't because there's an accidental trigger out there and so on. This is because someone is out to jam you up or gain money. So it's nefarious issues at hand. How do you keep up with the latest scam that's out there? Because you know what? If someone sits there long enough, they go, hang on, I've got an idea. The bridge in Brooklyn's for sale again, except now I'm going to sell the pavement, not the whole bridge. Some variation on the theme. There's nothing new under the sun for people who are either the con or the thief, because it's one of those two things, right? Or assuming you, or the saboteur, someone's trying to, whether it's a state agency, which we should talk about a little bit later, versus, hi, I'm kind of a cyber mobster. How do you keep tabs of this? And some things don't change, but how do you keep tabs of that?
It's a great question, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this would like to know the answer. Verizon did a data breach report where they collect data from all over the world, from Interpol, the Canadian CSIS, from the US FBI, the CIA, and every other business that is willing to publish their breach data. And they track it, and then they do multi-relational analysis on it. And they've done that for the last 25 years. And they said in 2003, phishing was the #1 way companies were breached. And in 2023, just 2 years ago, phishing was the #1 way companies were breached. Now, the question you ask is, how do you keep up with the current attack topic in phishing? The right question is, how do you spot a phish? No matter what the email says or purports to want you to do, they're going to have some sense of urgency and emotionality built in. So you react instead of thoughtfully pausing and responding to that email, because we know as cyber professionals and as hackers, the more we can get you to react quickly without thinking, the more you're going to click on things you shouldn't. So there's that. But it's like this. If I gave you a rubric for identifying a dog has fur, typically 4 legs, a tail that wags, it could bark, and it has, man's best friend, it's trainable. You go down the list. And then I show you any dog you've never seen before. What are the odds of you saying, that's a dog? It has the fur, a snout, 4 legs, a tail that wags, etc. You're going to be pretty accurate at identifying dogs, even if you've never seen a dog of a particular flavor or not. That is how you teach. The point is, you can teach this rubric that allows you to identify 99% of the fishes that are out there. The domain name is one of the key variables, because a typo squatted domain name is what hackers are doing. That's an underlying flaw in what the rest of the industry is having problems delivering, is realistic phishing tests. Because when you send an email, let's call it from Amazon.ca, the domain name that sends that email into your inbox pretending to be Amazon.ca has to be something like accountresetsareus.com. It's nothing to do with Amazon. Hackers will send you an Amazon.ca email where the M in Amazon is an R followed by an N. So they'll have an A, R, N, azon.ca. And that's because they know your brain fills in the gaps if you look at it quickly. What we teach in our phishing simulations is we send you a hoot fish from Amazon.ca and we change the M to an R and an N. And we say, you know what? That's what hackers are doing. They're not sending an email from account resets are us. We're very realistic in what we set up as expectations in the users on what they can expect in phishing attacks. We know, we'll tell them there might be a period in the middle of your Amazon.ca where it's just am.azon.ca. And that's a completely different domain name. Or they might drop a letter like I in Netflix. And you have to pay attention to these things. Those are all called typo squatted domain names. And that's how hackers work. The real traditional fake email that the full industry does has no semblance to reality in the domain name of the sender. I could show you a statistical analysis of that phish testing from the University of Zurich in 2020, studied 14,000 people doing traditional fake email phishing tests for 20 months. They finished the study. They ran them through traditional attack phishes to see if they would actually click on fewer phishing attacks in their businesses after the study had trained them for 20 months. They concluded that the employees who went through all this training and got all these special phishing tests clicked more on phishing tests, phishing emails that they got natively in their inbox, not less. One of the suppositions was the domain name was an issue. So we, in our Hootfish, that is not only fun, it's educational, and it also is hyper realistic to that. So that's a really important skill set to be teaching in your employees.
I understand that the pandemic created an entire new industry for hackers and thieves.
It did. And part of the problem was, when you're in an office and that traditional fake email phishing test went out, you could turn to a colleague and say, something's not right here. Can you help me out? Can we work through this together? And two people pausing and then looking at an email, whether it's a legitimate phishing attack or one that your IT department, have a much better likelihood of labeling it as a test or as a real phish and deleting it. But when you're on your own at home and it's 4:45, you got 30 more emails to get through, you're going to go read it, click delete, read it. Oh, I better action this one. Click there, fill out that form before the end of the day. It's due tomorrow. Oh no, I got phished or failed the phishing test. There's a lot less peer review when you're working remote. Not the second part is that you have sometimes your own equipment working at home and you're your own IT department. When you're at home, it's easy to look around the room and say, no one's going to notice if I postpone patching my computer today and tomorrow and next week, let alone the Wi-Fi router, the home television that has a microphone and maybe has never been patched, TV rather, or a Cox cable modem. Who knows what's going to happen. Did I get that right? I think it is Cox and Bell Canada, right? Yeah, I remember now.
Rogers, Cogeco, I think Shaw West.
Shaw, that's right. My parents were on Cogeco for a while, and then they just got in Ottawa, they got Rogers. Or it might be, Rogers or Bell.
And there's another one called Videotron out of Quebec.
Our friends to the east.
If you're a solopreneur, you think that you can avoid the disaster and deal with it when it happens. When do you switch over into the price of not doing something is higher than the price of doing something? When does it become like booking a dentist appointment?
I think that's the best question we could have asked today, Wayne. I love it. And there's a couple of anecdotes I can share, but I'll share just one from Ben Franklin when he was talking 200 plus years ago about fire prevention. He said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure when it comes to preventing fires. He was 100% right, and it applies 100% to cybersecurity today. For the cost of a coffee for your employee once a month, you can prevent a $10, $20, $30, $100,000 loss on your business from a cyber incident. Now, don't believe the news hype from IBM's latest breach statistic that says the average cost of a breach is $1.4 million. Not for anybody that's in an SMB. They don't even have a $500,000 to scrape together for anything. So there's never going to cost you that amount. But what I will say is it will be painful. It will lead to downtime. You will lose customer goodwill and happiness with you being able to deliver your service or product for some period of time. You may even have to write letters of apology that you lost some privileged information about your clients and spend weeks, if not months, writing those letters and delivering them under the legislative controls for privacy notification when you put someone's private data at risk or exposed in an incident. There is a world of hurt from 10 different angles. You might not qualify under your cyber insurance if you answered the questionnaire incorrectly, saying, oh yeah, we train and we test our employees, but you're not. So the time to do the right thing and the lowest cost is when you control the situation. You're in control when you sign up for awareness training at cyberhoot.com/businesses and you start training with a video a month, a phishing simulation every 3 months, and your employees actually enjoy it and learn and they're resilient to these attacks. They will treat it as a benefit when you make it fun and enjoyable, as we try to do at CyberHoot. Most other tools, it's a cost. It's a oh my God, I got to go watch that video. I got to not click on these phishing links. And it becomes stressful and anxiety producing. It could be looked at as a benefit because you're protecting your employees personally at home in addition to professionally at work. And it costs so little to sign up and do these things. It used to be we had to convince people of that fact. Now we get people coming to us and they're switching from a negative approach to our positive approach. They already understand the value. They are answering the cyber insurance questionnaires or the third-party risk management questionnaires correctly, saying we do test and train our employees, but they want to make it more fun and enjoyable and more educational. They want to see the culture and the behaviors stick. If you want to change behaviors over time, punishment stops the behavior, but it doesn't teach the good behaviors that replace it. You need to reward those good behaviors in parenting, in dog training, and in employees to make it stick over time and for them to internalize it.
If a person is working the desk and they notice something coming across, and they have that, gee, something's not right, which is good, right? That something subconscious is triggering, something's off, or everything's legitimate, but it's an unusual behavior. Do you take those instances that are getting sent to the company and share, especially in a larger organization? I mean, last corporate I was in at 10,000 people on payroll, another 10,000 people wrapped around it. And some people are so into their job. It's an email, it's internal, it's gone through the facility filters, right? Pushed everything dark and evil away. And lo and behold, something kind of snuck through. Do you capture instances like that and incorporate that back into the training of a given facility? Or if you have a series of clients from back, do you capture those moments going, okay, this is what we're seeing right now in our customer base, either in the region or otherwise?
We always encourage you to share what's going on with all of your employees. So if you have, it could be phone calls that are coming in and someone is over your voice network is phishing for information. I've been in companies where we said, hey, we're getting a bunch of phone calls trying to inquire about our leadership team and our approach to our new release of software, whatever the case may be. They're phishing for information over the phone. It never hurts to write an email to your entire organization that says, hey, if you get a phone call and someone's asking for information that you shouldn't be answering, redirect them to your manager or to the HR department or to whomever you decide is the appropriate person. Don't go answering questions out of the blue. That could be in text messages with smishing attacks, phishing emails, and a voice. So yeah, it's always a good idea to share that. We're developing, but have not released a report phish button that would go to your IT department so they could keep tabs on what's getting through their protective mechanisms. It never hurts to forward an email, although you probably can't always forward it because as soon as 2 or 3 people forward a questionable email with questionable links, the black hole of sending it to dev null or the bit bucket or deleting it before it delivers to anyone kicks in and then it disappears in space. You may take a screenshot of the picture, hover over the sender and make it visible, screenshot that and say, hey, this didn't seem right. You may want to look for this and delete it out of everybody's inboxes. All of those are great best practices. And the more you can encourage that kind of culture within your company, that's what we all want. That's the holy grail of a cyber literate culture in a company because nothing is perfect. Even CyberHoot's training is not perfect. We all have to be a team and support each other with these things. You just have to make sure you create the right process for reporting it and sharing it.
What's a smish?
SMS phishing. So an SMS message is what you get on a text message, and they shorten it into smishing for SMS. There's another one called quishing, QR code phishing. When you go to pay for parking in downtown Toronto and there's a QR code pasted on the instructions for payment, you scan it and it brings up a credit card payment page, you better be damn sure it's who you think it is because it could be a hacker's QR code and you're just paying money there. You're going to come out after your hockey game or Blue Jays game and you're going to have a ticket on your car because you actually didn't get credit for paying. So that's QR code phishing. And there's all kinds of, the more we live, the more we get different ways for people to hack us. It used to be easy with Nigerian prince and sending money out of Africa, but now it's everything under the sun.
So you mentioned something earlier that was kind of unique. Usually when we think of phishing, smishing, It's how do I take your money out of your pocket and to put it in my pocket? But that's not the only type of nefarious deeds that are afoot. If you think that there's state actors or organized crime versus the 16-year-old, which could be part of organized crime, but a 16-year-old is going, I can show you my prowess. Let me shut down your data for a while. Whatever it is, but sometimes not just stealing that type of information. You mentioned something earlier, like what's your next release date? Or you're actually hunting for people, as in job hunting. Actually, I have to target somebody, but I'm
Yes.
looking for somebody. Or you can also have a stalker doing the same crap. It's like discerning fake news. Would you equate this to like, this is how you discern what's real and what's not real? That's the thought process behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. And to be truthful, Bernie, our first video that we send to every employee as part of our 6-video installment, Cyber Literacy 101 series, talks exactly to your point. There are different forms of hackers out there who have different priorities. Organized crime is all about the money and extorting you with ransomware or double extortion, where they threaten to release your sensitive files to the internet after they delete your backup so you can't restore from backup, and you have to pay to keep your sensitive client data off of the, Toronto Sun kind of websites. So yes, there's those kinds of hackers from organized crime. Nation states are out there to help identify strategic advantages for their country. The United States participates in this. We have a great offensive and defensive capability. Canada does. The Israelis, the North Koreans, just about every country in the world exercises nation state hacking capabilities. A lot of them make money in ways they can't get in other ways. North Korea has a very advanced hacking capability because it's one of their only ways to secure funds for their country. They're on so many bad lists. There are script kiddies who are out just for notoriety to say, look what I can do. And then there are hacktivists. Canada has old growth forest, and sometimes they harvest some old trees, and people are upset about that. So they'll hack that forestry company to embarrass them, or fisheries, or farming, or any industry whatsoever. There's hacktivists that are going to try and embarrass you by stealing your email logs that say, we polluted the groundwater when we were farming in Saskatchewan. It happens all over the world. You need to know when you're in a particular industry and business, what data do I have? What kind of hackers does that attract? And therefore, what kinds of protective mechanisms and training and governance and tech stack should I put in place to protect myself? That's really part and parcel of the whole equation.
What are the top 3 best cyber hygiene habits?
If I was asked 3, then I would say the first thing to do is to train yourself on phishing simulations, phishing attacks, so that you can identify personally and professionally how to avoid the most common source of breaches all over the world for the last 25 years. The second thing I would say you need to do is learn how to use a password manager, because password hygiene, if referencing back that Verizon data breach report, said the second most common mistake that leads to breaches is poor password hygiene, reusing passwords wherever you go. Psychology has proven that the human mind can't remember a complex password more than 15 characters long, 2 or 3 of them. You can probably remember 1 or 2 passphrases, but beyond that, I have 500 accounts the last I checked. So I have to use a password manager. I do not know of any cyber expert that would say no to a password manager. That's still not enough. You need to adopt multi-factor authentication on your most critical accounts. Think of banking, email, investment accounts, that sort of thing. The third and final thing I would say is freeze your credit. In the United States and in Canada, almost all of us have had our SIN or SSN stolen in concert with our address, our salary, our information. It's all out there now. And so what does that mean? It means a hacker has enough information that they can go and pull your credit history and provide that to a bank or to a credit card company and take a credit card out in our name or a loan out in our name, because they have all the details they need to pretend to be you. You can stop it if you freeze your credit. You need to freeze it in the US in the top 4. And then there are secondary credit agencies out there that you can freeze your credit on that prevents anyone, even yourself, from getting a credit score for Wayne Pratt or Bernie Fransgott. You can't get the credit score, you can't get credit in that name, in that person's name, even with all the requisite information. So I always say, freeze your credit everywhere to prevent you from being breached personally with a credit card or an identity being stolen, that sort of thing. All of our data is out there. There's no way you can get our data back. It's in the hands of the hacker. But what you can do is prevent the damage. So don't believe in these credit monitoring services that monitor and tell you there's a problem with your credit score. That's useless. It's only done that way because it's the only way they can continue to monetize yours and my data. The credit agencies selling it to third parties who want to send you a credit card offer. You wouldn't get as many credit card offers when you freeze your data. In fact, I almost never get a credit card offer from anyone because they can't get my credit. So they don't know if I'm a good risk or a bad risk. So a hidden benefit is you get a lot less junk mail. But doing that really is the key. So number 1, learn how to fish. Number 2, adopt a password manager. 3, freeze your credit. Those are the top 3 things you can do. If you want instructions and you're in the US, I think Canada has different credit agencies, but you'd have to look at how to do that. I'm sure ChatGPT could figure that out. But in the US, you can go to cyberhoot.com/cybrary, CYBRAY/identity-theft, or you can Google it. I have an article we wrote in our blog that explains how to freeze it, where to freeze it, and there's more than 4 places and links to where you go and freeze it. So that's helpful for your listeners.
Is there a geography that you tend to want to focus in? And also, if they do want to learn more, how they get a hold of you?
So we go global. We have support built into our positive reinforcement phishing exercises. So we can do that fun, enjoyable phishing exercise in 12 different languages. I think 13. We might have just added a 13th. We do French, Italian, Russian, Arabic, all those. To reach us, you can go to cyberhoot.com. You can email sales@cyberhoot.com. You can book a free 30-day trial under cyberhoot.com. And if you just click on, autopilot sign up, you'll have an opportunity there. As a special benefit to the listeners of the Creative Insight podcast, if you reference the podcast name, we'll give you 20% off for life as a discount to our regular fees. Now, if you're a reseller, we'd have to do something a little differently, but we'll definitely discount you as well. That's how you can reach us. We support and pay taxes in most countries of the world now because we have a nexus in those locations, meaning we have enough revenue that we qualify to start paying goods and services tax and PST and GST and HST. Not in Canada. The HST is over in the UK. Pay taxes everywhere.
I'm just going to make a special note. Special offer.
20% off for life if they sign up with Creative Insight as the referrer.
Or a Knack for Business.
Whichever one you like, whatever works for your podcast listeners. Whatever they put in, we'll give it to them.
I want to say thank you to Craig Taylor, my co-host Wayne Pratt, and you, the Knack for Business listeners. Have you ever been scammed before? If you've ever hit that magic moment and you need some training, or you have a crew of people where this happens on the odd occasion, maybe you want to get a hold of Craig because he can save you a lot of headache. It's not just about them stealing your money, stealing your information, but it's also stealing information about you, your organization, right? Craig's even helped a small firm recover from a phishing attack, not by punishing the team, but by guiding them through compassion and smart reinforcement. And that's the key. It's a kinder, gentler way to go through. And when that happens, it's fun. You'll have more success.
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.spelled KREVINSIGHT.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayne@motivateyou.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral 8 and the letter U.ca, or his website, motivateyou.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people. Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert. Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host. Jovan Strika from At Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space. Then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner. And Wayne Pratt from Motivate You Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer. Please note that the Knack for Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.